Paranoid Radio.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Paranoid.
Tell me, boy.
Testicles, 1, 2, testicles. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am Trebles Garcia, the humble host of this amazing show. This is an amazing episode with amazing content for amazing listeners like you. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a Sunday drop. I'm trying to make another 3-point episode series this week coming up. The reason being is because I'm so fucking talented and, we're the fucking best. No, quite honestly, the reason I'm doing this because, my daughter's laughing in the back. It's because we have so much information to put out, the numbers are growing, and you guys deserve more content. Therefore, I've committed myself to drop at least 2 episodes every single fucking week, moving forward after 150th. It is Sunday morning, and I am ready and preparing my microphone and my setup to record an amazing episode with a special guest under transhumanism. And I totally forgot that this Sunday morning, I'm talking about May 14th, it's 10 a.m. right now. It's also Mother's Day. And I want to take the time to congratulate every single one of you. Congratulate my own mother, the mother of my kids, every single mother out there. For the people that do not remember, every emperor, every empress, every king, every duke, every pharaoh, every single human of all existence was born out of a woman, except for Adam, I guess. But every single human after that. So I want to congratulate every single mother out there. I want to pray to God, and I want to wish upon you nothing but health. I want to wish upon you nothing but wealth and 100 million years more to continue to be the center of the universe. Thank you so much to every single mother out there. Happy Mother's Day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing episode with an MMA fighter, 4-0, amateur, about to go pro, also digital creator and host of his own fucking podcast show, Jordan Frenna. Guys, we caught this guy fresh. We got this guy right before he jumps into his huge debuts, into his huge exposure. Hopefully he stays around with us a little longer. I want you guys to enjoy this episode as I put it together, and he's a very dear friend of mine. Thank you so much, Jordan Frenna, for sitting down with us and giving us your time, your knowledge, and your influence. Have a great and blessed week, every single one of you. Enjoy the show.
Paranoid Radio.
All right, bro, here we go again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again. This is an amazing episode lined up for all of you guys, and I have a very special guest here. Today, we're bringing a special guest that didn't only begin his hosting career in the podcast game with the show called Conspiracy Comrades, but he's also a world-class athlete specializing in mixed martial arts. He focuses on everything, but specializes in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. He's won the Legend Amateur 4-man tournament in his debut, and is currently 4-0 in an amateur MMA. This man has donated his time to my audience, to my fans, and to my humble podcast from 14 hours and 3 continents and an entire ocean away. He's a beast in the ring and makes huge deposits in a bank of knowledge. Please welcome rising star, MMA fighter, fellow podcaster, and comrade, Jordan Frenna from the Conspiracy Comrades podcast.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we got it.
And for the first time, I think the first intro was better. I was just not recording, so.
I will. We that can live in our minds only. We'll have that between us, especially all forever, And the world-class athlete, I'll never get tired of hearing that though. It's hilarious to hear that. If you'd have seen me in my teenage years, to call me that now is quite funny. It's quite fun for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. You know what, bro? I have to be honest with you. You were here on the show 2 years ago, I think in season 2, and you blessed us with a show called Nessie. We spoke about the Loch Ness Monster. I hijacked that episode off your show because you and your co-host at the time did an amazing PowerPoint on it. You guys brought so much information, and the thing that I remember the most, being most importantly about that show was that you guys brought in not only facts but also theories, and you guys ended up saying that the picture of Nessie, just to remind everybody, the picture of Nessie is actually a whale dick. It's a fucking dog.
Yeah, definitely could be. There's definitely some out there that are pictures of the whale dick. Sure, yeah. No, like we like to bring a little bit of a level-headed mind to it, but at the same time, man, there's a lot of shit out there that's also true. You know, we have a reason to be paranoid.
Yeah, for real, dude. And then again, so you were here in the show on season 2 and Nessie, and you also host your own podcast show that you stopped right now, but you're planning on rebooting it after you slows down with your training. And I know you right now, you're gonna get so hard to it's gonna get to a point where you're gonna be really hard to get to, because I see the potential, bro. You're a beast in the fucking ring. The last congratulations, by the way, on your last win. That was amazing. People, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to follow this guy. What is your IG tag?
My IG tag is HEPA, HEPPA 1993, the year I was born. But yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a good deal. It was a good showing. I want to test myself against bigger guys I like, but like also kind of now I really want to test myself against some more formidable opponents and things, especially on the ground and stuff. There's always critiques you have on yourself no matter what you do, but especially in that last fight, I mean, you look at that and you think, what could be the things that you take away that are minuses for sure, and the wrestling and things I could definitely improve upon, but it's all a learning process. We're only fight number 4. I think there's already pressures to turn pro, especially out here. The fight game out here, you would think it's kind of weird. You would think that there'd be a deeper pool of amateurs, but absolutely not. The UK and America's amateur is kind of like the same level as the guys out here that are pro. It's an interesting dynamic to the fight game out here.
Do you mind if I ask you what country you're in? Where are you training right now?
Sure, yeah. I'm currently in Bangkok, Thailand. So
wow. How's life there?
It's madness, dude. You should see out my window right now. It's it's a wild world, but for sure. But it's hot as shit as well right now. Jesus, I can tell you that. But no, it's great. I love the training out here. The guys are amazing. The fight scene out here is fantastic, especially more so in Phuket now. But absolutely, there's guys in gyms absolutely everywhere. And now COVID was more of a thing over here. Let's put it that way. So training out here was difficult for a long time. And now the gyms are finally back open and we can finally get back to it. And like you say, hopefully turn pro pretty soon, get some more of those highlights together.
You're full force.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. I couldn't be happier for you, bro. And I wanted to discuss with you, what is it? Because a lot of people now, especially right now with this whole, at least here in LA, in California, and I'm just speaking for Californians because I'm a Californian myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that people, we depend a lot on the government. That wherever there's, and I'm not going to make this into a conspiracy show, but wherever there's government, there's less freedom, there's more corruption, less money for your pocket, more money for the pocket of the rich, right? And that's always going to be like that. And we're so dependent on our water. We can't collect rainwater. We can't grow our own crops. One, because we don't know how to. Second, because we don't have the land to do it. And we have to purchase everything from the government. You have to drink water bottles. You can't drink, et cetera, et cetera. So you're dependent on the government, especially sometimes even for work. Like people after the pandemic, they didn't want to go back to work, bro. They especially here, the welfare, people were getting free money, stimulus checks, et cetera, et cetera. You probably heard about all that situation. So it's now it's a trend where people stay home and collect money from the government and live off, food stamps. So, and that's the trend. That's literally what's happened, at least here in California. Again, now, what is your training like? And the reason I put that together is because I want to get a little glimpse of your discipline, bro. The type of lifestyle that you changed, not only with your eating habits, but your mental discipline. What are you going through that it has been extremely impactful in your life that you see yourself using for the rest of your life?
Man, I guess like recently as I'm getting older, diet's such a huge thing. Like I changed the way I eat completely, especially leading up to fights. My body just feels like it can run properly. Like the mental side is so big. That's kind of one of the main things that I guess I could do better. Is just going through the scenarios more in my head, which I do a lot, but being more positive when I'm thinking about those scenarios. You know what I mean? A million and one things goes through your mind before a fight, and you want them all to be a million different ways you're going to knock this guy out, but realistically, it's just not like that. You know, you're fighting essentially I was basically fighting in a ring in front of my friends in near enough my underwear. Like, you know, anything could happen. This big tall guy's throwing punches at you. It's hard not to think, well, what if one of those punches lands and I get knocked out in front of all my friends? Do you know what I mean? There's going to be played online God knows how many times. But you have to minimize those thoughts, maximize the victory. I do a lot of the writing things down, putting them, you know, I have this hilariously, I had a friend that mocked me for this recently, but I have a little dream box on my desk at work that I write notes in. And I wrote 3 notes, actually. I've got a picture right here. I'll tell you exactly what those 3 notes were. But I think for me, that sort of stuff is super important. So my first note said, I will win bonus of the night. Bonus for KO of the night. Bam, got that. I will win my fight. Bam, got that. I'll finish my fight. I'll knock him out. Bam. Now, don't get me wrong. They're not always going to be correct. Maybe I'd have submitted him or something. Who knows? But I don't know. I think that sort of thing has really helped me, and just continuous training. I'm just I'm so obsessed with it. Like, I can't sleep on a night really unless I train now.
Oh, okay. So it's become not an addiction, but a habit, a positive habit that your body's asking for you to do it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just got to scratch that itch, you know, and it's kind of annoying sometimes that, you know, my itch that I have to scratch is like going and fighting a bunch of guys in a sweaty gym, like, you know, but it just is what it is. Everyone has that weird thing that they become hooked on. Exactly. So
let me ask you something. What I know for a fact, I don't think you like getting hit in the face for a living or every single day, but you have to have some type of passion for this sport. What made you jump into MMA fighting, bro? I mean, this is not only you facing your fears almost on a daily basis, and like you said, running around and wrestling with guys, sweaty guys, you know, and just freaking exhausting your body mentally and physically. But like, this is a challenge, an everyday challenge, bro. Like, what made you get into that?
This is going to sound a little bit psychopathic, right? So the hardest part is starting out, for sure. And when you start out with any new thing, right? When you start out, you're learning, it's new, you're getting your ass kicked in the topic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first started out podcasting, for example, it would take me 10, 15 hours to edit a video to put up on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would just take me I would do too much as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'll do this and I would do too much, but it would take me a long ass time to get to do it. And because I'd have to be watching YouTube videos and how do I do this and how do I cut and what's the shortcut for, you know, snipping and all this bullshit. MMA is the same, especially, and jiu-jitsu is the same. You know, you start going and getting your ass kicked day after day after day, but then you start to learn a little bit, and then you go from getting your ass kicked to just kind of surviving to doing all right, and then there becomes a bit of a turning point, or after a year where you start putting the beat on people, and then like I'm at this point now where sometimes just I don't know how to describe it. It's not like yesterday, for example, one of my best friends in training was on top of me, right? And he's got it's called an Ezekiel choke. We're in the gi, right? The gi's the big thing, and that I do that style of jiu-jitsu as well. And we're in the gi, and he goes and gets like a cross collar choke on me. So he's like got literally one arm across. He's big, strong guy. He's like a gorilla. He's got one arm across my neck, and his other arm is literally he's just like driving his knuckles down into my chin to try and push my chin the other way to get my collar the other side, right? Mm-hmm. And there's just something in this weird game of will where I'm like, he's driving his knuckles into me that way, and I'm just like, no, motherfucker, I'm pushing my jaw back into his knuckles. Just this weird game of will where I'm like, yeah, yeah, bitch, like, you're not gonna fucking break my, and then that becomes the battle. Then you start beating other people's will and you crack them, and there's just something so satisfying in destroying somebody's whole, just like, because in their head they're the destroyer, right? It's being the hammer, like just being the hammer and they're the nail. Like, as soon as you realize that they're going in that wood, like it's so addictive. And then you start getting people that are better than you. And you know, I train with some really good guys, and don't get me wrong, I get my ass kicked a lot. Like I absolutely do. Mm-hmm. But there are times when these guys should, some of the pro guys, some of the high level guys should be beating us, but they're just not. Like, I mean, I've got some physical advantages in terms of my height and my reach and everything. And then I'll have a round and I'll walk around. I'm like, I just beat that guy's fucking ass. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's a good feeling. And especially because I haven't really succeeded in anything athletic before, it's just become a complete addiction to me. I can see.
Wow.
I can see how these people, like, who are, and then you can understand other people's addictions, like curlers. Like, if I could really, flick one of those stones across some ice better than other people, I'd show off about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you fall 100 times to get up that one glorious moment that just fills your heart with more fire to keep getting your ass beat to learn how to beat the other next big guy, right?
Exactly, man. And then, like, going out into the, it always feels like, no matter, I'm not gonna lie, this last fight, obviously I had more confidence I was gonna win. I'd fought him before, I'd won. He was a tough motherfucker, I'll give him that 100%. Bao Lam, if you listen to this, he almost definitely isn't, because he can't speak English. But if you ever hear this, he's a tough guy. But in my head, I kind of did think that I was going to win. Obviously, anything can happen, and he's a big, strong guy. But I had that confidence as well going into this. But even still, I'm still sat around all day, nervous, thinking I've got to go against the bully at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? And then it happens all so quickly. And then, you're hitting, and then he's going down, and then it's just everything's all happening, and then you just kind of like, oh shit, guy waves it off, and you're like, whoa, like I won. Turn around, all your friends are there going fucking crazy, and then to the other side, and like, wow, it's just
everybody's living
all that hard work and eating right and blah blah blah, and then just for all of it to happen so quickly, but then just so much elation all at once. I don't know if you saw the Izzy fight recently, but he just could not have been more true about, he'd lost 3 in a row to the guy Piera, and finally, he gets that forced rematch and beats him, knocks him clean out, and it's like, man, the happiness you could see it in him, and he's like, you gotta do stuff. You got to take the risks if you really want to experience that sort of happiness. And it's so true, man. You just got to take the risks. You just got to do it. And then if it does pay off, fuck, it pays off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, bro. That's an amazing testimony. I think a lot of people could grow off just listening. The excitement in your voice when you're telling me your story, the genuine power. You know what I'm saying? And it's an adventure. Let me talk a little bit about preparing for a fight. Sure. First question. This is the first question. Is it true you can't have sex?
If it is, then I don't follow that. But
does it deteriorate your body? Is it true that
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure it's like, I don't know, an exercise tiring wise, I guess. But like, they say that about testosterone, right? But I think it's shown to boost your production of testosterone. So I actually think you're supposed to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's a freaking myth debunked.
Yeah, for sure.
I have one more question. What about spirituality? During your practice of these martial arts, you're doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. During the process, broken bones, probably, pulled muscles, bruises every single day. But like, did you feel any connectivity with a different realm spiritually? Do you feel guided somehow?
Nah,
meditation?
Nah, I maybe I should, especially meditate and things like this. And I do. For me, it's not spiritual in any way. It's more just mental. Like, it's not me going through my mind feeling guided and my path will lead to this sort of thing. No. It's just, for me, it is a lot of hammer and nails sort of thing. It's just, I will destroy this person sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but that's how I see it. It's very much all of my mental game and all of my meditation, if you can call it that, and thoughts and the run throughs that I have in my mind and things. All of that is very much, I will do this. And it's very technical. And in my mind, it's not leaving anything to chance, to will, to, do you know what I mean? Or like, someone said this recently on something I listened to, and it's so true. They're like, I'm jealous of like these Dagestani guys and stuff that have like got such a strong religion, and in their brain it's like they're gonna win because they're like Allah will will it. So do you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I wish I had that emotion. I wish I could be like, yeah, God is fucking wanting me to win. Like, I'm set on this path. No. I don't see it like that at all. I see it like I have to make it happen myself. Do you know what I mean? And look, fuck out, like I'll make it happen. But it's, I think in my head, if I start to think like that, then I'm leaving some things up to chance. Maybe I'll leave out some work. Maybe I'll not try as hard as I should. Maybe I'll just be lazy about it because whether I win or lose, that's just my path. I don't believe in that. I think you got to forge it yourself, sort of thing.
How many broken bones do you have?
Bro, I am not joking. While I've been fighting these past 5 years, I touch all of the wood.
Yes.
None really. Like a couple, I think a toe or two. My toe's kind of fucked right now, but like not really as well. Like, I mean, I've been training all this week. I had a cracked rib, actually. I tell a lie, a cracked rib. And that was really in the early days. Did it to myself in a competition, in a jiu-jitsu competition. And then the muscle unravel side, like a real sticky out rib now here on this side. Can't lay on a flat bed on my front, which is, sorry, on like a hard bed on my front. But other than that, pretty good, pretty lucky. My nose, I have troubles with my nose. It swells up for sure on the inside. And I can never breathe through that, right? But yeah, that's the fighter's curse as well. Even the cauliflower is, again, touch wood. I'm good. I'm good.
That's freaking awesome, bro. Why does that happen? The cauliflower. How does that happen? Is that natural? People born with that, or what's
like a tear on the inside of like your ear, like a small tear, and it just like bleeds, and then the blood calcifies and turns into almost like a blood. Sorry, almost like a bone. Sorry. It's like if you ever feel a guy's, like, obviously I feel them regularly. Like if you ever feel the guy's cauliflower, I mean, I've got a little bit, don't get me wrong. But if you ever feel a guy's cauliflower, it's just rock hard. Like if you've got a guy trying to take you down, or like he's in your side control or something, and he's just digging his ear into your ribs, you're like, it's like someone's got a little rock inside their ear.
That's freaking that. I've seen that on a couple of UFC fights, how they have that thing in their ears. It's kind of crazy, bro, because like I thought, are they born with that? Like, what's going on? And see, like, but now I know it's because of the fighting.
Yeah. It's the wrestling. It's mainly the wrestlers, and some guys are more prone to it than other guys for sure. I think I've got quite lucky, touch wood again with that. But yeah, the injuries and stuff are definitely something, you've got to look out for. But I think having safe training partners is good. I think, man, you get way more injured playing, like, especially American football, but like, I don't know, you call it soccer, playing soccer and stuff, especially in your knees and this and that. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can do that sort of doing jiu-jitsu, but it's the sports where you seem to be sprinting, I feel like, are the sports that can really injure you, especially when you've got guys trying to tackle you and stuff that you're not aware of. Like, fighting's very, you're in front of me, like, one-to-one, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm very aware in every second of my position and that sort of thing. So it's definitely less damaging on your bones and things. But yeah, I mean, any freak accident can happen, like what happened to McGregor and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy for you, bro. Again, congratulations on your most recent win, and I see greatness in you, and I hope you continue your path, and you're gonna be rock solid, bro. And hopefully you don't forget about us in the future once you make it up to the to pro, and you become a freaking multi-millionaire. You're gonna rock, and hopefully you come back on the show and blow it up for us, man.
Absolutely.
So, right before I'm gonna go into the next topic, and I know you've been digging into the history Egyptian and stuff on which I mean, go ahead, take the floor, bro. What have you learned? I would love to chop it up.
Have you been looking into this recently? Have you seen anything about all this? So there seems to be a bit of a movement at the minute. I don't know if you've seen about the there's like a documentary series on Netflix and stuff that's just been kind of pumped by Graham Hancock. I know Rogan's had him on a few times, blah, 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 blah. There's these two guys, Graham Hancock and I forget the other guy's name, but there's a guy Graham Hancock is the historian, and there's another guy that researches the geography, like effects of large floods and this sort of thing. Is a geologist, Randall Carlson. Sorry, Randall. I apologize, not that you'll ever.
No problem.
But man, these guys are super interesting. They had this theory for a long time now that civilization has had peaks and valleys, and that we've got to a point higher. Like right now, there's just the mainstream theory is that, you know, history and time and progression has just been like a steady slope rising up.
Mhm.
Their argument is that it's not. It's gone higher, and then there's been a catastrophe, and it's poof, and it's back down, and it's gone higher, and it's back. And there, you know, as far as the old thought was that humans have been around for 50,000 years, then it was like, oh, actually, maybe it's like they found new specimens. Okay, maybe 100,000 years, like anatomically modern humans, that is. And then now it's like, well, maybe 200,000 years. So like our timeline is being pushed back, right? And the reason why I say that is, well, as I mentioned, we're anatomically modern humans. Our chemistry, our DNA has essentially been the same roughly for about 200,000 years. So we've basically been the same model for about 200,000 years with the same working brain and this and that. And I'm sure there's been certain advancements, and it takes time to build a culture and society and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. The argument is that we have been able to do things that either we have lost the knowledge of, or that we just don't really understand now. And we just try to use bullshit excuses to cover them up. And the main example of that has been the pyramids. Like, I've been watching so much stuff recently. There's a guy that does a YouTube channel called Uncharted X. Go watch those guys. Very, very detailed. He talks about a lot of the engineering side of the pyramids and things, and we cannot figure out what they are, man. And
Jordan,
how
you're saying we're not at the peak of civilization or human civilization right now. There was another peak that we've lost all communication with, all traces.
All sorts, bro. Like potentially, man, I've been deep into this recently. Not necessarily in terms of technology. Obviously, we can share information at our fingertips now with the internet. I'm not saying that people have been able to video call each other in this respect and stuff like that. But have we had lost technologies that are potentially more beneficial to the planet in the past? Potentially. There's a massive argument now that Atlantis was 100% a real place. There's a massive argument that the pyramids are claimed to be 4,000 years old. It's the Sphinx, 4,000 years old, but the timeline just doesn't match up. The evidence for water erosion puts them way earlier. Some people are arguing that the pyramids could be as old as 30, 40,000 years old.
Well, I think they're finding ruins under the Sphinx, right? Or I think it was the Sphinx. Yeah. The carbon dating actually only tells you so much, and it's still faulty at that, right? Mm-hmm. And then I guess to Göbekli Tepe, I think it's what the site's called in Turkey. They're finding chambers under chambers under chambers that are outdating the hunter-gatherers, which means by the hunter-gatherer timeline where they were hunting and gathering, there was another set of group of people that was able to build behemoth freaking structures that had echo chambers where they were singing, that could, you know, with acoustic properties, et cetera, right? So they had developed higher technologies.
I saw an argument recently, and it was so interesting. I wish I could remember where I found it, but I saw an argument recently that was making the argument that the Great Pyramid, the biggest one, could have been the Tesla, Tesla's the electric car, the gold top, and the way that the inner chambers are structured and the way that it harnesses sound, the way that it could process electricity. They were like, this thing could have been generating electricity for an entire area that, like, in a way that we potentially could have figured out ourselves, but the companies in the past that were making money from, you know, that whole Benjamin Franklin versus what's it called, Tesla argument. You know, Isaac Newton was very much on the side of the companies and, you know, making it privatized, whereas Tesla wanted to give free electricity to the world, to the world. They might have had that, dude. Like, it's just crazy to me that there's just a large push now especially from the, like, look, we've got these things there in Egypt. They're there. There's loads of other stuff, like there's maps that show really detailed versions of Antarctica, and they were covered in ice at the time, but the land is almost perfectly, and the way that the latitude is drawn, we didn't have a good way to measure, or it might be longitude, maybe it's longitude. We didn't have a correct way to measure longitude until we'd sent satellites into space, essentially. These motherfuckers were plotting out longitude and latitude to within more of a precise angle than we could even 40 years ago. And just so much, but we've got the pyramids there, and they're not excavating, they're not testing them properly at all, and it's just insane.
Okay, that's happening in Egypt because Egyptology, I think that's the proper term, cannot fall on its ass. It cannot regress. They have culture, money, so much capital invested in Egyptology that they cannot go back and change their own things. Now they have to stick to their guns, to their lies, if it makes any sense, because it's
eggs on the face if they get things wrong. You know, people have spent their entire life's work building towards this narrative that could potentially be wrong. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily at fault because they've gone their entire life, but they're not willing to have the scientific arguments, and it's just stopping progress. And now the sad thing is that we talk about stuff like I've been really deep into this recently, and like you said, my podcast is going to come back to do a couple episodes on this later. Atlantis, the pyramids, and we just go for general ancient civilizations, I think. And the sad thing is that, you know, these Egyptologists and the people that are in charge of the actual sites are the ones that are pushing everyone away, being like, nah, that's bullshit, and they're just stopping actual progress that could be so much more interesting than anything we already are aware of. And obviously religion plays a huge part into this as well, because, you know, it can't possibly be seen that we had a civilization 40,000 years ago that were more advanced than, you know, the true people. Or I'm not fully.
It's same thing with Mesoamerica, bro. In Mesoamerica, there's so many pyramids under vegetation. So the forest, the rainforest took over, and it's all over them. And they look like mounds. They look like huge, mountains. And they're actually pyramids. And the only reason they know that they're pyramids now is because they use their special sonar, special satellite.
LiDAR,
LiDAR,
have you seen that serpent mound as well? I don't know where that is. I think that's in South America. Is it potentially North America? Chichen Itza. It rhymes with pizza. Yeah. Crazy, nice one. Bro, crazy, dude. Like, that Graham Hancock documentary was very, very good. He touched upon it briefly, but I've been going into the deep dive of it, and even just like small things, like this guy Uncharted X has been talking about these bowls, these vases that are not made from clay. They're made from like granite. They're made from extremely hard materials that have had to have been molded.
They can't replicate. They can't
not
replicate.
at all, not even today, not to the preciseness. And they're saying that they did there's this big thing about the symmetry of of a lot of the carvings and stuff within certain ones of the pyramid. It's perfect. It's perfect. Like
smooth.
Smooth, but it's perfectly symmetrical. Like bam, bam, like they put I don't know what the measurement would be on it, but like that. What's that thing where you quite famous things on leaves, and where you keep looking and the pattern just keeps continuing. I don't know what it is. It's a measurement, but they use this symmetry measurement over the videos and things, and it's perfect. It doesn't look like a human's face either. That's the weird thing. And then the other thing, the other crazy thing is that
you're talking about the golden ratio.
No, I can't remember what it is. No, I don't think so. The Giovanni Fibonacci sequences or something like that.
Golden ratio,
There's that shit in there as well. But it's
in the flowers. It's in your organism. Every organism is everywhere. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the thought is now two things why this could be scary. One is because it shows that potentially we could be just wiped out at any moment. There's a guy Dr. Robert Schoch, that thinks it's solar flares. Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson think it could either be solar flares or a cataclysm like an asteroid, and that could just happen at any moment, and our society could just boom.
Do you think they were harvesting solar power or the magnetic fields of the planet? Because they happen to be on landlines as well, like specific landlines.
I don't think we even fully can comprehend what they were at. I think apparently they were able to harness sound in a way to move objects that we couldn't even really understand right now.
Yes.
What? Like tools. Using vibrations?
Their power tools are based on vibrations. I've seen that too.
Like they could have been floating those motherfuckers. They were quarrying it from hundreds of miles away. Why? Just because they wanted the best possible rock to build these megalith structures with, and the cuttings and like all sorts of crap. Bro, have you seen that? Like giant rock in like the Middle East that's just cut like a straight laser down the middle? Have you ever seen that shit? Mm-hmm. It's like it was being quarried, and then it was just like, fuck it, actually we don't need it. But it's cut like and here's the thing, you can't put a piece of paper between, or a hair between some of these structures, the way that they're measured, like the way that they're constructed, and it's just crazy. We can barely replicate a lot of their architecture today with machinery. How people think that just manpower did that, and in the time frame that it was done is insane. And it's just, here's the thing, right? That's been blowing my mind. Aliens, look, I I'm like you, bro. Like I believe, you know what I mean? 100%. I think they're here and shit. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, like Bigfoot, maybe not. Nessie, for example, was one where I was like, nah, I don't believe in this one. So like, but I'm pretty kooky on this. But this one just feels like, it doesn't feel like a fringe theory. It feels like the evidence is just there, and it's. I don't understand why there's not been more attention to it. And obviously there is now, luckily. But I could talk for days on
We're
this.
upside down, bro. We're upside down. We know more about the moon than we know about our own oceans. It's upside down. The world is, we live in a crazy freaking world. And I think you're right. I think what happened was there was a collapse in society. The technology was lost. Their teachings were lost. And if there's anybody that today have that those teachings and that technology, they'll probably replicate it for themselves and they'll never give it to the rest of the public. That's almost guaranteed.
And the argument is that, you know, there was a race of people that was just going around and reteaching different versions of society. And man, even that's something to potentially kind of look back on with happiness. Like, that just shows that humans, race and society has been looking after itself for years. Bro, I had a mad thought one night. Like, I was just sitting in a little black hole.
We did the story of the Babylonian gods, whatever.
Yeah.
Forgot their names. I think that like they were spreading their seeds, and what happened was they hit a point where society was going to collapse, and you know, the younger dryads just passed, and then you know, times were changing. So what they did, they spread their seeds all out throughout the world, different locations of the world. They found the Americas, they found different islands, they found where the big structures are at now, and they evolved the culture there. They showed the indigenous people, hey, you know what, this is what you can.
There's stories about, you know, Egyptian kings that were living up to 300, 400 years. I'm like, who's to say what was happening? Who knows, man? I like, you know, you don't know what sort of kind of.
I think that's why they elongated their skulls. They wanted to replicate the god-looking dudes, right? Like,
Who knows, man? It might, like, there's just some secrets that, and some, you know, some things might be a little bit more out there than other things. Who knows? But like, some of it, even if it's just the age, and even if it's just that we were more advanced in certain times than we give credit to ourselves for, then like, that's worth researching in my eyes. I don't know. I just think it's insane it's right there, man. It's right there. And we've got the tools to find it.
That with the conclusion of this show. This, first of all, dude, this episode is fucking amazing. We spoke about you. We fucking caught up with you with everything that's happening in your life. Again, with your fights and everything, and a little bit of conspiracy and what your thoughts are with the different. I cannot wait until you come back and you reboot your show and bring these topics, because I know you're gonna go deep into the conversations with name, dates, and facts and historical value events that have shaped our present day. I want to I want to give you the opportunity to not only, you know, express yourself. What is the message you have for the world from Bangkok?
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, just look at the weird stuff, dude. Like, go down a rabbit hole or two. Maybe you'll enjoy it, you know.
Yeah.
And like, please research this stuff for sure. Like, I think the more we push stuff like this, the more we find out, and just, man, the more interesting life becomes. It's a little escape from the day-to-day, you know, as well. And just go out there and do something that you find challenging, and do it every day. And trust me, you'll feel so much better for it. And finally, before we go, you know, I just want to kind of shout out you guys. Like, you know, from going from work and training, you know, I had the podcast. I know how hard it is to do. You guys have been pushing from before, during, and now after I was doing mine. I always told myself, oh, I'm never gonna stop the podcast. I'm gonna be consistent. And then I dropped a few episodes. Then you know, we ended up going by the wayside. I was training a lot, blah blah blah. But you guys are doing an amazing job, and I really love listening to you. And you guys keep it up. You know, I really do want to. I'm sure your listeners already know, but emphasize the fact that this isn't easy. You're pushing out an entertaining show every week. And you guys are killing it, man. I love listening.
Like I told you,
it's not an easy job.
I told you in the beginning, we're blessed because even though the show is not at the height that I would wish to be, right? But
you just gotta keep pushing, man. Just gotta keep pushing.
Exactly. And the adventure is this. This is the adventure right here. Meeting people like you from around the fucking world, 14 hours a day away, freaking 2 continents away, an ocean away, spreading knowledge and bonding and having this amazing conversation. This is what I live for. This is why I do it. This is why Big Tank and I still do it every single freaking week. We don't care about the money at this point, like I told you in the beginning. And I want to thank you so much for, I'm humbled with what you said, and I take your I take your words and I'm hold them dearly. Thank you so much for everything. Please let them know where they can find you again one more time right before we leave.
Yeah, sure. You can head over to the Conspiracy Comrades podcast. Instagram, it's Conspiracy Comrades podcast, and on all platforms. We will be reviving at some point. When that is, admittedly, I don't know. My current host is stuck in England, so at least a few weeks, if not a couple months. But look out for it, because I am genuinely super passionate about these topics. Get me at Hepper1993, and yeah, support me. Share my fight videos. Let's earn a higher fight first. Let's get pro. Let's get to 1FC. Let's get some money on it.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for being here, spending this time with us. Our audience is gonna freaking love it, and I want to thank you again, dog. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
All right, brother.